They were the shadows that terrified an entire nation. Creatures so tall that grown warriors looked like insects before them. Names whispered, not spoken: Ahiman, Sheshai, Talmai, the giant clans of Hebron. But here's the real mystery. Why did God repeatedly pull his people toward a land guarded by giants? Why Hebron of all places? And who were these towering beings who lived there long before Israel arrived? Today we're going deep. Not into fantasy, not into legends, but into the forgotten corners of the Bible many pastors never preach about. Because what if I told you the giants of Hebron were not just tall men? They were part of an ancient bloodline stretching back to the days before the flood. And their existence explains why the Israelites shook in fear at the borders of Canaan, and why only Caleb, just one man, challenged them, defeated them, and took their city. And here's the twist you never saw coming. The city of Hebron was already sacred long before the giants lived there. Abraham walked that same soil. Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, all buried there. A holy place, occupied by an unholy race. So how did giants end up inheriting a land of promise? And why does the Bible specifically say that Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt? A clue many readers skip, but historians can't ignore. Stay with me. If you watch till the end, you will never read the Old Testament the same way again. Because the giant clans of Hebron, they were not just enemies. They were a message, a warning, and a mystery still echoing in our world today. Centuries before Joshua, before Moses, before the 12 spies ever stepped into Canaan, Hebron already had a story. It was the land where Abraham settled after parting ways with Lot. It was where he built an altar, where God appeared to him, where he purchased the cave of Machpelah, the first piece of land he ever owned. Hebron was not just a city, it was legacy, a promise, a spiritual anchor for the future nation of Israel. But over generations, something dark happened. While Abraham's descendants were enslaved in Egypt, another race rose in the mountains of Hebron. The Bible calls them the Anakim, children of Anak, descendants of the Nephilim. These were not ordinary humans. Every Israelite child grew up hearing the stories. Don't go near Hebron. Don't look at the mountains after sunset. Those places belong to giants. Imagine the emotion of the Israelites, the tension, the trauma after centuries of slavery, marching toward a land God said was theirs, only to hear giants live there, not just tall men, but warriors whose very presence made seasoned fighters tremble. And this sets the stage for the moment everything crashes. Moses sends 12 spies. 40 days later, they return with the fruits of the land, but their voices are shaking. They say, "We saw the Anakim in Hebron, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes." Hebron, the land God promised, occupied by the one force Israel feared most. And just when hope should be rising, it collapses. Why would God send them into the territory of giants? Why allow their ancestral home to be taken over by a monstrous lineage? There are two theories, both intense. Hebron was the strongest city. The giants were the strongest warriors. And God wanted Israel to understand something. The promise was theirs, but only if they trusted Him enough to fight for it. Giants were not obstacles. They were spiritual checkpoints. The promised land wasn't going to be taken by fear, only by courage. But then comes the second theory. Back in Genesis 6, the Nephilim appeared, hybrid beings born from rebellious angels and human women. God wiped them out in the flood, yet somehow their bloodline reappears. The Anakim, the Rephaim, the Zamzumim, the Emim, clans scattered across Canaan, giant tribes occupying strategic territories. Hebron wasn't random. It was spiritual warfare, and the Israelites knew it. When the spies mentioned giants, fear spread like wildfire. Grown men cried all night. They begged Moses to take them back to Egypt. Think about that. They preferred slavery over fighting giants. The tension was not physical. It was psychological. It was spiritual. It was generational trauma clashing with divine destiny. Only two men stood firm, Joshua and Caleb. But Caleb was different. While the others trembled, Caleb said, "Let us go up at once. We are well able to overcome them." He wasn't being arrogant. He wasn't being brave for show. He understood something the others didn't. Hebron wasn't just a battlefield. It was inheritance. It was sacred ground. It was home. Caleb had walked that land with his spirit long before he would ever walk it with his feet. 45 years later, Moses is gone. Joshua leads the nation. Israel is finally fighting their way through Canaan. But Caleb has been waiting for one thing. Not a palace, not a valley, not a safe place. He wants Hebron, the stronghold of the giants, 85 years old, and still saying, "Give me this mountain, not give me rest, not give me peace, not give me retirement, give me the land of giants." And the most unbelievable thing happens. The Bible says Caleb drove out the three sons of Anakim from Hebron: Ahiman, Sheshai, Talmai. The very giants who terrified Israel decades earlier, defeated by one old man who refused to fear what God had already given. Archaeologists discovered that ancient Hebron sits on a ridge overlooking a fertile valley, perfect for early settlers. But the caves beneath Hebron, they run deep, almost too deep. Some chambers so large that early explorers described them as cathedral-like. Some believe these caves were ancient strongholds. Some believe they were burial chambers for a race of giants. And some believe those caves are why the giants chose Hebron as their seat of power. Because those dark chambers aren't just natural formations. They are carved, shaped, engineered by hands much larger than ours. And suddenly, the ancient biblical descriptions don't sound like fairy tales anymore. So what do we learn from the giant clans of Hebron? First, giants appear wherever destiny is greatest. The higher the calling, the greater the opposition. Second, your promised land will not be empty. You will have to fight for it. But the battle is a sign that the land is worth it. Third, faith is not the absence of giants. It is the refusal to bow to them. Caleb wasn't fearless because he was strong. He was fearless because he believed the God who promised him Hebron could not lie. And finally, the biggest giants are often guarding your greatest inheritance. Whatever Hebron is in your life, your dream, your calling, your purpose, there will be giants standing on it. Don't run, don't retreat, don't whisper their names in fear. Do what Caleb did. Stand up, point at your mountain, and say, "Give me this land." If you want more deep Bible mysteries broken down just like this, stories they don't teach in Sunday school, stories that open your eyes and strengthen your faith, then hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because on this channel, we don't just read the Bible, we uncover the mysteries hidden inside it.